Hello, everyone. So, for this discussion, we'll be tackling about the different cultivation practices that we perform during our crop production. So, first of all, let's have some quick background of why we conduct crop production or crop cultivation. So, una, ano ba yung mga benefits that we get from growing our own vegetable? So, kita sa mga picture, yung picture ng bata na may pagkain. So, the main benefit that we can get from growing our own vegetables or having our own garden is that we can have our own supply of food. And kapag sarili nating pinalaki, pinatubo yung mga halaman, then we can be assured of the quality of the food. We can be assured kung ano yung mga chemicals na nakapaloob or nai-apply sa mga halaman na ating pinatubo. Then of course, another benefit of growing our own vegetables ay kaperahan. So we can benefit by having a source of income. So growing our vegetables, our own vegetables can serve as our source of income and makakasave rin tayo ng ating pera. Then of course, ang pag-grow ng sarili nating halaman ay nakakapagbigay rin ng kasiyahan. Pwede natin itong maging hobby, pwedeng gawing leisure during our free time. Okay? Then we have here some of the vegetable families that are commonly planted in our gardens. So we have the Solanaceae family, Cucurbitaceae family, Fabaceae family, Brassicaceae, and Liliaceae family. So let's have a quick look on the different vegetables under these families. So under Solanaceae family, or commonly known as the nightshade family, we have here the tomatoes, the peppers, both sweet and hot, the eggplants, and potato. We also have non-food crops like the tobacco. Yes, yung tobacco. Solanum tabacum. Then under Cucurbitaceae family or the gourd family, we have our different gourds, gaya ng cucumbers, squash, mga bitter gourd, bottle gourd, ridge gourd, our loofahs, our cucumbers, melons, mga watermelon, cantaloupe, muskmelon, etc. The next family, we have the Fabaceae family or the legume family or the pod-bearing family. We have here the peas, the different types or varieties of beans, mga cowpeas, soybeans, our peanut. We also have our mung bean, and we also have some tree species that are under this family, gaya ng ating mga gaya ng Sesbania grandiflora. We have our ipil-ipil. We also have our tamarind. Tamarind is a pod-bearing fruit tree, so it belongs under the Fabaceae family. Also, yung makahiya plant natin, Mimosa pudica, is also under the Fabaceae family. Another family, we have the crucifer family or the Brassicaceae. So lahat ng mga vegetables that have a scientific name, Brassicaceae, Brassica oleracea, ay under dito sa Brassicaceae, like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, mustards, and others. The next family, we have the Liliaceae family or the onion family. So under Liliaceae family, we have onions, we have the garlics, shallots, chives, asparagus, also aloe vera. aloe vera is a succulent plant under the Liliaceae family. Okay, now that we've done with the common vegetable families, let's now proceed to the steps in putting up a vegetable production area. Of course, like any other venture, there are steps that we must follow para maging successful ang ating practice. So, in putting up a vegetable production area, ang una nating ginagawa is site selection. Of course, kailangan nating mag-select ng site or location that is applicable or viable for production. Then after nating makaselect, we conduct land preparation practices. So land preparation gaya ng pagwiwid, pagkukultivate ng lupa via plowing, via harrowing, via leveling. Then we also do raised bed construction. Then mulching is also under land preparation. Then after all those land preparation practices, we'll now proceed to the sowing of seeds. Then seeds are either transplanted or direct seeded. So after magpatubo ng seed, transplanting. Then after transplanting, of course, we conduct the different cultural and management practices that we must do for our crops to grow, gaya ng water management, patubig, irrigation, nutrient management, pag-aabono, pest management, pagkontrol ng mga peste, gaya ng mga insekto, mga weeds, then other cultural management practices, gaya ng trellising, pruning, etc. Then after ng mga yon, so yung plant ay malamang sa malamang ay magproproduce na siya ng mga fruits that are ready for harvesting. Then after harvesting, we conduct post-harvest operations. Okay, so those are the steps in putting up a vegetable production area. Okay, so una, site selection. So here are the things that we must consider in selecting a site. Una dyan yung availability of water source. Of course, lahat ng ating economically important crops ay kailangan ng sufficient supply of irrigation. Then of course, kailangan rin nating i-consider yung sunlight, yung duration wherein the sun hits the site or location directly. Then of course, we must also consider the quality of the soil. Ano ba yung kapasidad ng lupa? Kaya ba niyang mag-supply ng nutrients na kakailanganin ng halaman? So kung kaya niyang gawin yon, so preferable yung site. Then of course, we must also consider the production history of the location or site. Ano ba yung mga previous plants that were planted or cultivated sa site na iyong naselect? So we must consider all those para malaman natin kung ano ba yung mga nutrients na kailangan nating i-amend or i-add sa ating lupa, since different crops require different nutrients. Then of course, we must also consider the crops that we are growing. So same concept sa production history. So different crops require different nutrient. So dapat specific tayo sa pagse-select ng site. And of course, lastly, we must also consider the topography or the relief. When we say topography, we're referring to the lay of the land. Ano ba to? Yung land ba natin ay steepy, slopey, or lowland, flat pa siya? So, wait lang, I'm having some trouble with my internet. So, check ko muna kung nagre-record pa. Mukhang hindi na. Okay. So, gaya ng sinasabi ko, here are the things that we must consider in site selection. So, after we've selected our site, so next step would be to conduct land preparation. Oops. After site selection, we will go to the land preparation part. Unang-una, firstly, we have our different soil management practices. Okay, so we have here a separate module wherein we'll be discussing about the different soil management practices that we perform sa ating lupa. So when we say soil management, it encompasses all of the tillage operations, all of the cropping practices, gaya ng liming, fertilizer application, and other treatments that we apply to the soil for the production of a crop. So that's soil management. Then here are the main steps that we do in managing our soil. So how do we prepare our soil for vegetable production? So first, we must know our soil. Second, we must know what can be done. Then third, we must take action. So first, know your soil. So how do we know our soil? Paano natin makikilala ang ating lupa? So of course, via the use of our senses, sense of sight, sense of touch, and also via doing some regular soil testing. Gaya ng ginagawa nila uncle at auntie. Then after we know our soil, pagkatapos nating makilala ang ating lupa, dapat naman nating alamin kung ano yung mga steps na pwede nating gawin. So we have here a sequence, learn about the different soil management practices, alamin yung mga pwede nating gawin, then understand the principles behind each practice. So hindi lang dapat natin alam, dapat rin natin na kabisaduhin or dapat ay bihasa tayo sa mga different practices. Then, third, we must select what best fits the given situation of your soil. So after knowing all of the different soil management practices that we can perform, so we'll come to a point where we need to select the best management practice that we can apply to our soil. Then, fourth, you must know what resources are available around you. Of course, dapat mo rin ibase sa kung ano yung meron kang resources, kung ano yung meron kang mga materials like pera. Kaya ba ng budget mo yung mga management practices na yun? So those are the things that you must consider. Then after knowing your soil and after knowing what management practice is best for your soil, then lastly, you must take action. You must put all of those knowledge into action. Do it. Okay, so now let's proceed to the next aspect of our discussion, the different soil management practices that we conduct. So una dyan, yung regular soil testing. Via regular soil testing, we get to know the different elements or nutrients that our soil contains. And kung alam na natin kung ano yung mga nakapaloob sa ating soil na nutrients, then maalam na rin natin kung ano yung mga steps na dapat nating gawin. Kung ano yung mga nutrients na dapat nating i-amend, na dapat nating i-supply sa lupa para maging mas viable siya na makasupport sa paglaki ng halaman. Then another soil management practice is what we call the fallowing. Fallowing is the practice of leaving the soil bare to rest and to recuperate para yung mga lost nutrients that were taken up by the previous plant ay marerestore ng lupa. Then another soil management practice is planting of legumes as cover crops. So legumes, yung mga leguminous crop natin or yung mga pod-bearing crops, they have a symbiotic relationship with a nitrogen-fixing bacteria called the rhizobium. So yung mga rhizobium na yon ay nagpo-form ng mga root nodules wherein yung mga root nodules na yon ay nagko-contain ng mga ammonia and other nitrogenous elements. So by planting legumes as cover crops, we get to supply or revive the quality of the lost nitrogen from the soil. So ang practice na ginagawa sa cover cropping ay pinapalaki yung legumes. Then when they reach their reproductive stage or when they reach their flowering stage, those legumes are cultivated. The soil is cultivated wherein yung mga plant materials or plant parts ng legumes ay inahalo sa lupa. Kino-cultivate kasama yung mga legumes. Ini-incorporate sila to serve as organic fertilizer. Then another soil management practice that we perform is crop rotation. So crop rotation of crops that are being planted in a single piece of land. We have here the give and take principle. Give and take principle meaning we must give back to the soil what was taken by the plants that we grow. We have here a rotation sample. Sabi dito, heavy giver, then next will plant light feeder, then next will plant the heavy feeder, then cycle goes on. Yung mga heavy giver natin are those plants that can supply nutrients to our soil, gaya nga ng mga leguminous crops natin na kayang mag-supply ng nitrogen sa ating soil. Then light feeder naman natin ay mostly yung ating mga fruit-bearing vegetables gaya ng mga kamatis, mga eggplants. Then we also have our leafy vegetables are also light feeders since they only need lesser supply of nutrients. Then heavy feeders naman, are our root vegetables. Since our root vegetables has a high requirement of nutrients for them to form their tubers or root tubers. Ayun. So another soil management practice is green manuring. Green manuring is the act of utilizing plants or plant parts as manure. Then another soil management practice that we perform is fertilizer amendment or the incorporation of organic fertilizers to our soil. So itong ginawa nila uncle dito ay yung tinatawag natin na tawag dito. Ang tawag sa ginagawa ni na uncle sa picture ay ang pag-incorporate ng mga organic fertilizers directly sa mga planting holes. So itong mga holes na dinig nila uncle or hinukay nila uncle, so dito na rin sila mismo magtatanim. So nakadesign na to for the required planting distance kung ano man yung kanilang itatanim na crop. So examples ng mga organic fertilizers na pwede nating i-amend ay yung ating mga animal manures, mga CRH, mga coconut, coco peat, and etc. Mga compost. Then another soil management practice is the addition or the inoculation of beneficial microorganisms. So itong mga beneficial microorganisms na ito ay yun nga, beneficial sila in the sense that they convert cellulose into humus and humic acid, making a high-quality compost. So these beneficial microorganisms are responsible for the decomposition of our plant residues para makasupply ng additional nutrient sa lupa. Oh, another soil management practice that we have here is liming. So you are probably familiar already with the soil pH. So soil pH, we're referring to the acidity or alkalinity of the soil. Then yung neutral is nasa 7, then highly acidic is nasa below 7, highly acidic is between 1 to 3, then highly basic or highly alkaline naman ay nasa above ng 7 up to 14. Then yung preferred ng mostly ng ating mga halaman ay ang pH level 6 to 6.5. So by doing this liming, in doing liming pala, we add some materials or we add those materials that are high in calcium para ma-neutralize yung soil pH natin, para maging neutral, para ma-reach yung preferred na soil pH ng ating mga halaman, which is between 6 to 6.5. So examples ng mga liming materials natin ay mga calcium carbonate, mga gypsum, and mga calcium-containing materials natin or elements. So here are some of the pH preferences of some vegetables. Then another soil management practice that we perform is, of course, yung tillage or the cultivation of the land. We perform plowing, we perform harrowing para mabago or yes, to change the structure of the soil to induce or para mapaganda yung soil aeration tsaka water retention ng lupa. Then another soil management practice is minimal tillage. Minimal tillage ay ang pagmi-minimize sa mga tillage operations that we perform in our soil. We have strip tillage, narrow tillage, we even have the no tillage. So yun. Okay, so those are the soil management practices that we perform in our soil or to our soil. Now that our soil is ready for vegetable production, so pwede na tayong magtanim. Pwede na ba? Okay, so before tayo magtanim, before the actual planting, here are some of the steps that we must do. So una dyan yung field preparation, pangalawa dyan yung field layout, pangatlo yung bed preparation, pang-apat yung plastic mulch installation, then hole planting, then finally, pwede na tayong mag-transplant ng ating mga seedlings. So first, we have the field and bed preparation. So when we prepare our field or our beds, so the first thing that we do is to clear it from weeds and other plants or other materials that so after clearing our area, so ready na siyang ma-araro, till and plow the field either by the use of our draft animals or using a mechanized tractor. Or pwede rin naman natin gamitin ang ating manpower using our different hand tools like our grab hoe, like our rake, our shovels to cultivate our soil. Lalo na kapag yung area natin ay maliit lang or hindi ganun kalawakan, pwede naman natin i-utilize yung ating mga hand tools. Then third is the layouting using stakes, using tape measure, and strings. Pinartengan da dayjay area para maging concise yung mga distances, yung spacing ng mga beds na kanilang i-construct. So here's sample field layout for eggplant and watermelon. Yung usual practice natin or yung common practice natin is to have our seed beds having the dimensions at 1 meter yung width, then farmer's preference na kung gaano kahaba or yung length ng seed bed. Then the distance between the beds is about 0.5 meters. Yun. Then after nating mag-layout, so ready na yung bed natin, ready na tayong mag-construct ng mga raised beds. Yun. Then, after constructing our raised beds or during the construction of our raised bed, pwede na rin natin isabay yung paggawa ng canals that are beneficial or that are used for irrigation and for drainage. So we are anti-leveling her raised bed. Though itong raised bed ni auntie ay somewhat questionable since yung mga soil na nasa kanyang raised bed ay mga bengkol, clads. So, hindi pinulverize ni auntie yung kanyang soil na nasa kanyang raised bed. So, mali yung practice ni auntie. Then we have here some important reminders in making canals. So, yung height ng paggawa ng kanal ay nakadepende kung anong climate or kung anong season tayo magtatanim. So, raise the bed depending on soil type and season, sabi dito. So, normally, yung raised bed natin ay nasa 10 to 20 centimeters high during dry season. And during rainy season naman, dapat ay between 30 to 50 centimeters. Bakit ganun kataas? Of course, para hindi masubmerge during flooding, para hindi maka-experience ng submergence, para hindi mag-cause ng mga diseases caused by over-irrigation. Yun, establish good canal system both for irrigation and drainage. So that's the purpose. Those are the purposes of constructing a canal system. Pwedeng gawing irrigation via furrow irrigation, then pwede rin siyang mag-serve as drainage during rainy season. Sabi dito, because without proper drainage system, field will look like this. Ayun, lubog yung mga tanim ni auntie. So, sira yung kanyang mga halaman. So, sayang pera, sayang pagod, sayang yung soil nutrients. Yun. Then after constructing the raised beds, we can already apply the desired and available organic fertilizers. So dito, sa practice dito, we try to incorporate as much as possible yung mga organic fertilizers natin, gaya ng mga animal manure, gaya ng CRH, mga compost natin, and others. Then also, we can also incorporate inorganic fertilizer as long as the quantity is recommended based on our soil test. Then after incorporating yung mga different fertilizers, organic man yan or inorganic, then we can already level and form the beds using our leveling tools, which is our rake. Ayun, nilevel na naman ni auntie yung kanyang raised bed, pero hindi pa rin niya pinulverize yung lupa. Yun. So after mong ma-level yung raised bed mo, so ready na siyang makaveran gamit ang mulch. Mulch can be organic or plastic. So organic mulch, gamit ang mga plant materials gaya ng rice straw, mga corn stovers, pwede rin gumamit ng mga leaves, mga banana leaves, as long as free itong mga to from weeds, weed seeds, free from insects. Ayun. And make sure that when you do organic mulching, ay dapat ay hindi maulan or hindi rainy season. Dahil kapag nag-organic mulch ka at maulan, there's a high chance na pamamahayan yung nilagay mong mulch ng mga insekto gaya ng mga termites. Ayun. So ano yung benefits ng mulching? Yun. So, kapag nag-mulch tayo, nakakonserve natin yung soil moisture. Then of course, since covered na yung mostly yung lupa natin, mape-prevent natin yung damage caused by rain. And of course, since hindi na siya masyadong mauulanan, so maiwasan natin yung pagka-erode or pagkawala ng mga soil nutrients ng dahil sa ulan. Then of course, kapag we perform or we use mulching, nare-reduce natin yung occurrence ng mga weeds since limited na lang yung space na natatamaan ng sunlight at naaarawan. Then of course, we can also reduce the occurrence of pests. Since yung plastic mulch natin ay may two sides, we have the silver and the black, kapag maaraw, sunny season, mas preferred na ginagamit or ginagawa ay nasa ibabaw yung silver na part. So that yung sunlight na tumatama sa plastic mulch ay magre-reflect and matatamaan yung sa ilalim na part ng mga leaves. Wherein yung ilalim na part ay mostly pinamamahayan ng mga insects. So, matataboy nito yung mga insects. Then of course, since covered na nga yung ating raised bed, maiiwasan natin yung compaction or yung pagkasidsid ng lupa. Then overall, mai-improve natin yung plant growth, paglaki ng halaman, at mai-improve natin yung kanyang fruit formation since hindi na rin tatama yung mga fruits directly sa lupa. So, maiiwasan na yung pagkarat or pagkasira, pagkabulok ng mga fruits. Ayun, plastic mulch installation na ginawa nila ate at kuya, uncle at auntie. Plastic mulch installation, alam nyo na yan. Ayun. Then, after placing the plastic mulch, so ready na siyang ma-measurean ng recommended planting distance. Then after ma-measure yung planting distance, ay ready na siyang malagyan ng mga butas using our plastic mulch hole puncher. Yun, pwede rin tayong gumamit ng DIY plastic mulch hole puncher gamit ang tin can na nilagyan ng charcoal, hot charcoal sa loob. Gaya ng ginawa ni Auntie. There's life in vegetable. Yun, plastic mulch hole punching gamit ang tin can na may hot charcoal sa loob. Okay, so that's the end of our module with regards to soil management practices.